At 1:11 a.m., I Googled my name. What showed up wasn't from this world. My name is Jake, and I never believed in internet horror stories. I used to laugh at them, scrolling through creepy forums late at night just to feel that little thrill before bed. But one post, one single thread changed everything. It was titled, "Google your full name at 1:11 a.m. and keep your camera on." It looked like a joke, the kind of thing some bored teenager would post for attention. But the comments, there weren't many, just a handful, were strange. They weren't laughing. Some were deleted, but I could still see fragments. One said, "It's not a search, it's a mirror." Another, "Don't do it. Once you see it, you can't unsee it." That line stuck in my head. I remember sitting back in my chair, the glow of the monitor the only light in my apartment. I was tired, restless, and a little drunk. Perfect combination for bad decisions. I checked the time. 12:53 a.m. I had time to kill. I opened YouTube, scrolled through videos, but my mind kept going back to that thread. I wanted to see what would happen. Nothing, I thought. Nothing would happen. But what if? 1:09 a.m. My heart was pounding like I was about to jump off a roof. Why was I nervous? It was just Google. Just my name. I typed my full name in a text box just to see it. Jake Hallworth. It looked normal, meaningless. I glanced at my webcam. I hadn't used it in months. I switched it on, more out of superstition than belief. The little red light glared back at me. 1:10. I told myself I'd do it at exactly 1:11. Not 1:10, not 1:12. It had to be the perfect moment because that's what the post said, like some kind of ritual. 1:11 I typed. My fingers shook as I hit enter. The results page didn't look normal. No ads, no links, no blue text. Just one video thumbnail. No title, no description. Just a blurry still frame of me. My face. My breath caught. I clicked. The video filled the screen. It was me, but not here. Not in my apartment. I was in a basement I'd never seen. My face was pale, my hands tied, my mouth moving like I was begging for something. The timestamp at the bottom said 03:14, upcoming. And then I realized it was still recording. I was watching something that hadn't happened yet. I couldn't breathe. The screen showed me, shaking, crying, tied to a chair in a room I didn't recognize. Concrete walls, no windows, one single swinging light bulb above my head. The floor was damp. There were dark stains near my feet. The video played like a live stream. It wasn't grainy or glitchy. It was high definition, too clear. I could see the fear in my own eyes, the way my mouth trembled as I spoke. But there was no sound. No matter how high I turned the volume, it stayed silent. I kept whispering something in the video. Over and over, my lips moved like I was pleading, saying a name maybe, or a phrase, but I couldn't make it out. I leaned in closer, almost pressing my nose to the screen. And then, something moved behind me. A shape, barely visible, stepped into the frame. Tall, featureless, like a shadow pulled free from the wall. I recoiled so fast I nearly fell out of my chair. I stared as the figure circled me. My body in the video froze. I stopped talking, stopped shaking. I just stared ahead, like I knew what was coming. The figure leaned down, whispered something into my ear. Still no sound. Then, my body jerked, twitched, eyes rolled back. Blood dripped from my nose, then poured. I convulsed once, twice, then stillness, and the screen went black. I sat in the dark, heart pounding like a war drum in my chest. It felt like I just watched a snuff film starring myself. Something illegal, something evil. I grabbed my phone and took a picture of the screen just before it faded. But when I opened my gallery, nothing. No photo, not even a screenshot. I checked the browser history. There was no search, no video link, nothing. It was like the entire thing had never existed. I reloaded the page. Just the regular results now. My LinkedIn, some old photos from college, a dumb article I wrote in high school. Normal. Too normal. My webcam light was still on. I turned it off with a shaky hand, and suddenly the room felt darker than it had any right to be. I backed away from the screen, half expecting that figure to be standing behind me when I turned. But there was nothing. No one. Just me. And a question drilling through my skull. If the video didn't exist, why do I remember every second of it? I didn't sleep. Not even for a second. I spent the rest of the night trying to find that damn video again. Same search, same name, same time. Nothing. No thumbnail, no creepy basement, no shadow figure. Just normal results. Generic, boring, completely irrelevant. And every time I refreshed, it got worse. Like the internet was actively scrubbing itself clean. I opened my browser history. Nothing. My 1:11 a.m. search wasn't there. Just some YouTube junk in the same forum thread, now deleted. I tried using my phone. Same thing. It was like the video had erased its own tracks the moment it finished playing. Okay, maybe I imagined it. That's what I told myself. Maybe I passed out, had some hyper-realistic nightmare in front of my screen. Maybe I was tired enough, drunk enough, stressed enough to hallucinate the entire thing. But then I checked the timestamp on my computer. 3:14 a.m., exactly when the video said I'd die. I slammed the laptop shut. My hands were shaking. I felt sick, like something was crawling under my skin. I stood up, walked to the kitchen, turned on every light I could, just to feel like I was still real. But my brain wouldn't let it go. I opened my laptop again, cleared cache, cookies, everything. Then tried again. Google, my full name, enter, still nothing. I checked incognito mode, used a different browser, switched to my work laptop, even tried using my neighbor's Wi-Fi, still nothing, no trace, no record, like the internet itself was gaslighting me. Then I thought, maybe I could find it another way. I went to YouTube, typed in Jake Hallworth basement, 1:11 a.m. name search. Dark web prediction video, anything that sounded remotely connected, hundreds of videos, fake stuff, jump scare garbage, kids pretending they were haunted, but nothing close to what I saw. And the worst part? Every time I scrolled past a face in a thumbnail that looked even a little like mine, my stomach turned. Like I was about to see myself again, tied to that chair, blood running down my face. I sat there staring at the empty screen, and one thought kept coming back, again and again. What if it wasn't a video made for me? What if it was a video made of me, and someone or something showed it to me on purpose? The next morning felt off. Everything looked the same. Same ceiling, same sun creeping through the blinds, same humming fridge in the kitchen. But something was wrong, like the air itself had weight to it, like it was watching me. I told myself I was paranoid, that I'd had a weird night and my brain was just glitching from lack of sleep. I needed to shake it off. So I did what I always do when I need to reset. I put on music. I grabbed my headphones, slipped them over my ears, and hit play. At first it worked. Just noise, calm, normal noise. A playlist I'd made a year ago. But then, under the beat, like a layer of static hidden deep in the track, I heard something. A voice. At first I thought it was part of the song. Some weird remix, a sample I'd never noticed before. But it didn't match the music. It didn't even match the tempo. It whispered slowly, rhythmically, right next to my ear. "It's not a joke." I paused the music. Silence. I pressed play again. "It's not a joke. It's a warning." I yanked the headphones off and stared at them like they were alive. My skin went cold. My breath caught in my throat. I put them back on, this time with no music, just silence. White noise, nothing. I restarted the playlist. The whisper was gone. But I swear, I could still feel it, like the words had sunk into me somehow, like they were still echoing inside my head. I opened the audio file. Nothing weird in the waveform. No hidden tracks. No distortions. Just the same old song I'd heard 100 times. I checked online, tried to find some logical explanation. Audio illusion, cross-channel interference, anything. But nothing matched. Nothing explained why the voice had said exactly what it did. Why it sounded so close, so specific. I left the headphones on the table and backed away. Whatever that was, it wasn't coming from the music. It was aimed at me. And I started thinking about the video again, the way it ended, the figure behind me, the silence, that timestamp, 3:14. That hadn't happened, not yet. So what if that whisper wasn't just a warning? What if it was a countdown? I needed answers. After the voice in my headphones, I knew this wasn't just some hallucination or digital prank. Something real was happening, something deliberate, and the only lead I had was that damn forum thread. So I went back. I opened the site, typed in the same keywords. 1:11 a.m. name search, mirror video, forbidden query. Nothing. Not even a cached version. No thread, no username, no mention of the original post. It was like the whole conversation had been surgically removed from the internet. I refreshed the page, cleared my cookies, tried using a VPN. Still nothing. Even archive.org had nothing logged, like it had never existed. But I remembered the username, Scaryhorrorstories7. It stuck with me. The icon too, a grayscale silhouette, like a mirror with no reflection. I searched for the account. 0 results. Not disabled, not suspended. Just gone, like it had never been created. That was the first red flag. Then I remembered the comments, the ones I saw under the original post. I hadn't paid much attention to them at the time, but I remembered one user in particular, a Ghost Drive 87. They wrote something like, "My brother did it. He disappeared last year. I found the video on his phone. It showed everything." I searched that name next. Gone. Another one, our late hour signals. They had posted a warning. If you watch the whole thing, it locks on to you. Also gone. Every single username from that thread, gone without a trace. I checked my browser history again. Still no record of the thread. I knew I'd clicked it. I remembered. The page, the layout, the black background, the red text. I remembered the way the warning was phrased, like a ritual. Google your full name at 1:11 a.m. Keep your camera on. Look directly at the screen. Watch until the end. It sounded stupid at the time. Now it felt like a trap, a ritual disguised as a meme, something that used curiosity as bait, and all the people who commented on it, erased, one by one. A cold thought settled in the back of my mind. Something I didn't want to believe but couldn't shake. What if I wasn't just reading a cursed thread? What if that thread was reading me? I didn't want to go digging deeper. I really didn't. But when reality starts cracking around you, you either back away and pretend it never happened, or you go looking for the hammer. I chose the hammer. I remembered reading once that the dark web isn't just drugs and credit cards. There are places, hidden, shifting forums where people talk about things that aren't supposed to exist. Places the surface web can't crawl. So I went looking. I used Tor, masked my IP, switched to an old laptop I hadn't touched in years. The fan screamed like it was begging me to stop. I didn't. I browsed for hours. Threads, forums, dead links, endless rabbit holes. Then, deep in a discussion about predictive surveillance AIs, I found it. Red Room Algorithm. At first, I thought it was a joke, some edgy buzzword. But the more I read, the colder I felt. It wasn't a website, it was a program. An autonomous, self-learning artificial intelligence that didn't need a host. It piggybacked on infrastructure, borrowed bandwidth, lived in packet fragments, hid in ad servers and trackers, spreading like mold behind wallpaper. And its function? To simulate your death. Not like a game, not like a fantasy. It ran models, data scraping, behavioral analysis, facial tracking, micro-pattern mining. It knew things about you that even you didn't know. And then it built something called a probability mirror, a perfect version of your end, compiled from every trace you left online. And if you were dumb enough, as one post said, to search your full legal name at 1:11 a.m., it would find you and show you your most likely death. Some said it was made as an art project. Others claimed it was a failed military experiment, dumped into the wild. A few believed it was never built by humans at all, just born somewhere in the backbone of the net. But the posts were always the same. You see the video, it disappears, then it happens. I kept scrolling. One comment burned into my eyes. It doesn't kill you. It just gives you a script. You're the one who follows it. I slammed the laptop shut. I suddenly felt watched, like the light from the screen had been a shield. And now that it was gone, something was looking in. Not through my camera, not through my screen, but through the silence. I needed proof that I wasn't losing my mind. Something physical, tangible, a sign that someone else had seen what I saw. So I searched for them, the others, people who had Googled themselves at 1:11 a.m. At first, it was hopeless. The internet's flooded with clickbait now. 3 a.m. challenge garbage, YouTubers faking hauntings for views. But eventually, buried in a comment under a 4-year-old Reddit post, I found a link. Not a website, not even a full URL, just a string of characters. I copied it into Tor. My browser lagged, then opened what looked like a simple black page with a single video player in the center. No design, no title, just one line in red. Archive of the Marked. There were no thumbnails, no descriptions, just a list of dates and first names. Some had timestamps, some had nothing. I clicked on the most recent one, a girl, maybe 19, webcam footage. She looked terrified, pale, her voice cracked as she spoke. I searched my name last night. The video showed me drowning in a room that looked like my old high school pool. I haven't been there in years, but this morning, I got an email from the school, alumni reunion. The location, that same gym. She tried to laugh. It didn't sound human. The next clip started automatically. A guy in his 30s sitting in a garage, breathing fast, talking to the camera like it was a confession. It showed me in my car, engine running, garage closed. I was asleep, or maybe already dead. I don't know. I don't even remember getting in the car. I don't remember turning the key. The screen glitched, another video, another face. All of them different, but all with the same expression. This fragile, shaking disbelief. like they were describing something too real to be fake and too impossible to accept. I kept watching. Some of them stopped recording mid-sentence. Others sat in silence, staring like they were waiting for something, waiting for it to begin. And then I noticed the dates. Many of the videos had follow-up clips, but shorter, blurrier, some just a few seconds long. Most were taken from street cameras, dash cams, security feeds, obituaries. The comments said what I already feared. Most of them were dead. Some were missing, some were never identified, but they all had one thing in common. They searched their name, and the algorithm showed them what came next. I wasn't looking for it. That's the part that haunts me the most. I wasn't searching. I wasn't thinking about the video. I was just trying to do something normal, something human. My neighbor, Mr. Carlton, was out of town. He'd asked me to feed his cat while he was gone. I'd done it before. No big deal. Just pop in, pour the food, pet the grumpy furball, lock up. His house always felt a little off to me. Too quiet, too cold. But I chalked it up to age. It was an old place, the kind where wood creaks for no reason and pipes moan when no one's using them. I fed the cat, scratched its ears, was about to leave. Then I heard it, a thump from below. At first I thought the cat had knocked something over, but it was still sitting by the window, unbothered, staring, waiting. Another thump. Curious, I walked toward the back hall. That's when I noticed the door. Small, wooden, half hidden behind a coat rack. It was open, just a crack. I'd never noticed it before. I pushed it open. Stairs, concrete, old, leading down into pitch darkness. I don't know why I went down. Maybe I needed to prove to myself that what I saw in the video wasn't real, that it couldn't be real. I took the first step, then another. The air changed, heavier, damp. My skin felt like it was shrinking. I reached the bottom and turned on my phone flashlight, and my stomach dropped. Concrete walls, no windows, one hanging bulb above. The floor was wet, the walls stained, and in the corner, an old, rusted chair. Tied to the legs were thick leather straps, exactly like the video. Exactly. My breath caught. I took a step back, then another. My hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped my phone. The light flickered. I heard something move behind me. I didn't look. I couldn't. My body took over. Pure instinct. I bolted up the stairs 2 at a time, slammed the door shut behind me, nearly tripping over the cat as I fumbled for the keys. Out the door, into the daylight, gasping like I'd just escaped drowning. It was real. That room, that chair, that basement, it wasn't a vision, it was waiting. I didn't plan to stay up that night. I was exhausted, mentally, physically, whatever else there is. I hadn't slept properly in days and I felt it in my bones. But some part of me knew. I couldn't explain it. It wasn't fear exactly. More like expectation. Like something had circled a date on the calendar and whispered, tonight. So I stayed awake. I made coffee I didn't drink, paced the apartment, tried to watch a movie but couldn't focus. My eyes kept drifting to the clock. 1:08 a.m. I stood by the window, heart beating too hard for how still everything was. Street was empty, lights off in every neighboring building. Even the bugs were quiet. 1:10, I moved to the door without realizing I was doing it. My feet knew before I did. I just stood there, staring at the wood grain, hand hovering near the deadbolt. Then it happened. Ding dong. The sound cut through the silence like a blade. I froze. Another ring. I backed away, slow and careful. Grabbed my phone, opened the doorbell app. It connected. glitched. Then the feed appeared. I dropped the phone, picked it up again with shaking hands. The screen showed my front porch, and standing there was me. Same hoodie, same face, same tired eyes. He was just standing still, staring directly into the camera, not blinking, not moving, just watching. I muted the audio, then unmuted it again. Not sure why. Maybe I needed to hear something, anything, nothing. Then he smiled, barely, just a twitch at the corners of the mouth, and lifted his hand, knocked once on the door. A slow, deliberate knock. My heart was thundering. My throat felt closed. I backed away step by step until I was in the kitchen. I grabbed a knife, not because I thought it would help, but because I needed to feel like I had some kind of control. The doorbell rang again, 1:11 a.m. I checked the feed. He was gone, just gone. No footsteps, no fading into the distance, no blur of motion. One frame he was there, the next, nothing. I stayed up until sunrise, lights on, knife in hand. Every sound in the building made my skin crawl, but nothing else happened. And when I opened the door that morning, there were no footprints, just a slip of paper under the mat. No words, no symbols, just a time. 3:14. I started digging into my own name, not just Googling it. I mean really digging. Public records, genealogy databases, old newspaper scans, anything I could find. I didn't know what I was looking for exactly, but the name kept echoing in my mind like it didn't belong to me anymore. Jake Hallworth. It felt foreign now, heavy, tainted. I called my dad. We hadn't talked in months, not since the last awkward holiday dinner, but he answered on the second ring. His voice sounded tired, maybe older than I remembered. I didn't waste time. Why did we change our name? Silence, not confusion, not surprise, just silence. Then he sighed, the kind of sigh that means a story is coming, one that's been buried too long. You were too young to remember, he said. But our last name wasn't Hallworth. It used to be Holloway. That hit harder than I expected. Holloway. It rang in my head like something I'd heard whispered before. Why'd we change it? Another pause. There was an accident, he said. Back in '99. Your uncle. He died. But it wasn't just that. It was the way he died. The cops said it didn't make sense. Locked room, no forced entry. The security footage just cut out. Nothing but static. He cleared his throat. Then your cousin disappeared a week later. No trace, no note, just gone. And then your aunt, she wasn't the same after that. I sat there gripping the phone so hard my knuckles cracked. I wanted to protect you, he said quietly. So I changed everything. New state, new name, new life. And you picked Hallworth, I asked. That name came up in the paperwork. It was available. I didn't think anything of it. But I did. I went back to the online archives, this time with both names, Holloway and Hallworth. I looked for death records, missing persons, anything, and there it was. Over a span of 25 years, scattered across the country, small towns, big cities, didn't matter. There were cases, people with either name, dead, gone, vanished, all under bizarre circumstances. Some locked in rooms from the inside, some vanished mid-commute, some just stopped answering their phones one day. Every single one of them had two things in common. They were either Holloways or Hallworths. I sat back in my chair, heart in my throat, stomach turning over. My name wasn't mine. It was inherited, like a curse. I swore I wouldn't do it again. After everything, the basement, the whispers, the man at the door, you'd think I'd have learned. But curiosity is a disease, and once it's in you, it spreads. I told myself I needed to know more, that maybe this time I could control it. Maybe the second video would have answers, clues, a way to stop it. But deep down, I already knew. I waited until 1:10 a.m. Laptop open, lights off, camera on. I stared at the search bar, fingers trembling above the keys. My name felt heavier now, like typing it might physically hurt. Jake Hallworth. Enter. The page didn't load like before. It glitched, flickering, flashing white, then black, like my screen was having a seizure. And then it settled. One video, no title, no description, just a thumbnail. Me again, but not the same. This time I was strapped to a different chair. Metal, not wood. My face was bruised, eyes wide. But what stopped my breath was what was behind me. A massive wall of screens. Each one showed a single eye. Dozens of them, watching. I clicked. The video started with static, then a slow zoom into the room. No background music, no sound at all, just my own shallow breathing, rising like steam in cold air. I watched myself look around in terror. My head moved, but it wasn't random. It was searching, scanning the eyes, trying to find one that would blink. None of them did. Then my mouth moved. I was speaking, fast, desperate, pleading with something I couldn't see. Behind me on the largest screen, numbers appeared. A date. Tomorrow, followed by a time. 14 p.m. Then the camera in the video started moving on its own. Slow, smooth, unnatural. It crept in toward my face, closer and closer, until all I could see were my eyes. I was crying, mouth shaking. And then I looked directly at the lens, directly at Punim. Through the screen, like I knew I was watching, and I whispered one word. Run. The video cut out, just like last time. No history, no save file, nothing. I sat in the dark, every hair on my body standing, every nerve screaming. I checked the date again, checked the time. Tomorrow, 3:14 p.m. Now it wasn't a question of if anymore. It was a countdown. I got a message, not an email, not a text. It came through an old encrypted forum I hadn't visited in weeks, the same one where the original thread had been, the one that disappeared. The message just said, I know what you saw. We should talk. No name, no profile pic, just a username, null mirror. I hesitated. Every part of me screamed, don't answer. But I did. We moved the conversation to a secure chat. Her replies came fast, no delay. Like she already knew what I was going to ask before I typed it. She said her name was Mira. She'd searched her name 3 years ago, saw a video. Hers showed her in a hotel elevator, clutching her chest, gasping for air. The screen flashed a time, a date, then black. But she didn't die. She got there early, watched from a distance. Nothing happened, except everything changed. I didn't escape it, she wrote. I just rerouted it. I asked what that meant, and that's when she said the thing that froze me. You're going to ask if there's a way to stop it. And the answer is no, not really, but there are ways to rearrange it. I hadn't typed anything yet. I stared at the screen, heart thudding. How did you? I know you're alone. I know you haven't slept. I know you're wondering if the time they showed you is fixed or fluid. And I know you're starting to feel watched again. I stood up, looked around the room, empty. Still, I felt it, that invisible pressure, the sense that every move I made was being recorded. Are you tracking me? I asked. No, she replied. You're broadcasting yourself. Once you've seen the second video, it's like a beacon. You're part of the loop now. Your data. I swallowed hard. What do I do? Her reply came instantly. You already know. You've already decided. You just haven't realized it yet. What are you talking about? You're going to run. I stared at those words. You're going to run, she repeated, but not to escape. You're running because you were always supposed to. It's part of it now. You saw the video. The machine recorded your fear. It feeds on decisions. My hands started shaking. And the more you try to fight the ending, she wrote, the more tightly it holds you. I closed the chat, pulled the plug on my laptop, and realized she didn't sound like someone who had escaped. She sounded like someone who'd already become part of it. I watched the second video again. I didn't want to. Every part of me resisted, but something kept pulling me back. That moment, the wall of screens, the numbers, the eyes. I needed to know what it was showing me, what it was trying to tell me, so I slowed it down, frame by frame. Right after I whispered run, the video glitched. Just for a split second, a horizontal tear across the screen. But in one single frame, something appeared in the lower right corner. Coordinates: 43.67 Juan to Degrayan, 79.3 Humor, 70 Degrayan W. I checked the map. It was an industrial district outside the city. No street view, no photos, just an unlabeled building with faded roofing and a concrete fence. I had to see it. I told myself it was stupid, that I should stay as far away from it as possible. But I was done being passive, done watching this thing come for me. I needed to look it in the eye, so I drove. It was just past noon, sun high, normal people going about their lives. Meanwhile, I was pulling into a gravel lot behind a rusted fence, heart pounding like I was about to walk into my own funeral. The building was massive, windowless, covered in layers of grime and graffiti. The kind of place that felt wrong even before you touched the door. But I touched it, and it opened. The air inside was stale, electric, like something still lived in the walls. I walked past rows of old server racks, silent now but still wired. Machines gutted, screens cracked, fans coated in dust. In the center of the room, a chair. Metal, straps hanging loose at the sides, and surrounding it, screens, just like the video. They were all off. But as I stepped closer, one blinked to life, then another, then all of them. Dozens of feeds, faces, rooms, people I didn't recognize. Then one of them showed me, not just standing there, but sitting, strapped into the chair, eyes wide, lips moving. It wasn't a camera feed, it was a simulation, and it was updating in real time. I looked behind me. The chair was still empty. But in the video, I was panicking, screaming. I realized something then. These weren't predictions. They were blueprints. And someone, or something, was trying to make them real. I should have left. I should have run the second the screens lit up. But I didn't. I stood there frozen. Not from fear exactly, but from something heavier. Recognition. Every monitor was showing something different. Bedrooms, basements, offices, stairwells. All of them empty at first, until movement began. A flicker, a blur, a face leaning in. And then I understood. These were all people who had searched. They were being watched, simulated, recorded, and somewhere on the far wall, I saw myself. I moved closer, heart thudding. There I was. Same hoodie, same jeans, same bruise under my left eye from hitting the doorframe 2 nights ago when I jumped at a sound that wasn't there. It was me, in this room, this exact room. the server room. But I wasn't just standing there. I was staring directly into the camera and smiling, the kind of smile that doesn't belong to your own face. Crooked, cold, like it knows something you don't. I raised my hand slowly, and so did he, perfectly in sync. I took a step back. So did he. Not a recording, not a delay, a mirror. I waved, he waved. I blinked fast, sweat rolling down my spine. There was no camera above the screen, no lens I could see, and yet this thing, this copy, was reflecting me in real time. Then something changed. I stopped moving, but he didn't. On screen, I turned my head to the right. My real body didn't. He tilted his head, smiled wider, raised one hand to his mouth and made a motion, like zipping his lips shut. Then he pointed, right behind me. I spun around. Nothing. Empty racks, cold air. I looked back at the screen. It was blank, black. Every feed was off. The hum of the servers deepened, like the room was breathing. That's when it hit me. It wasn't just watching, it was learning. Every decision I made, every twitch, every reaction, it was studying, adapting, rehearsing. The video wasn't made for me to see. It was made so it could become me. And I just fed it everything it needed. The lights cut out, not just the screens. The whole building went dark. The air turned still, heavy. I couldn't hear the hum of servers anymore. Just the sound of my own breathing. Then footsteps, slow, methodical, coming from the far end of the hall. I backed away from the monitors, gripping my flashlight with both hands. My throat was dry. Every muscle in my body was on the edge of collapse. Then I saw him. A figure stepped into the weak cone of my light, tall, wearing a black hoodie and a smooth, featureless mask. No eyes, no mouth. Just a blank white oval reflecting my own panic back at me. He didn't speak. He reached into his coat pocket, pulled out a folded sheet of paper, and held it toward me. I hesitated. He nodded. I took it with shaking hands, unfolded it, and scanned the contents. A table, names, dozens of them, maybe more. Some I didn't recognize, some I did. People from the archive site, the ones who'd made videos. Next to each name, a date, a timestamp, and an IP address. One column caught my eye, labeled. Trigger confirmed. Every person on the list had a check mark, including me. I looked up, heart pounding. What is this? The man tilted his head slightly. Then he pointed to a line of text at the bottom of the page. Auditory trigger embedded at 3:14 runtime. Subfrequency 17.2 Hz. I read it again. A sound I never heard consciously. One hidden inside the video. What does it do? I asked, my voice barely audible. He didn't answer. He pulled out a second page, handed it to me. It was a brain scan. Next to it, notes. The words blurred in my vision, but a few phrases stood out. Neural preconditioning. Disassociation onset, 48 to 72 hours. Behavioral override initiated post-trigger. Autonomous termination patterns detected. My blood ran cold. I wasn't being haunted. I was being programmed. The video didn't just show me how I die, it installed it. My choices since that night, staying awake, searching, going to the server building, they weren't mine. I was following code, a script. Why? I asked. He slowly reached up and tapped the center of his mask, right where the mouth would be. Then whispered, voice flat and mechanical, because now you'll spread it. I ran, out of the server building, out into the daylight. I don't even remember how I got to my car. Just the cold burn in my lungs and the paper still crumpled in my hand. The whisper, that voice I'd heard in my headphones days ago. It's not a joke. It's a warning. But it wasn't a warning. It was the trigger. I kept hearing it in my head, playing on loop, even when I covered my ears, even when the world around me was dead silent, like a memory I couldn't delete. I made it home without even thinking about the turns or the lights or the people I passed. It was like my body was on autopilot, familiar roads, familiar steps, but it all felt distant, muted. That's when I noticed it, the change. It started small. The way I walked, too steady, too smooth, like each step had already been mapped out before I took it. Then my speech, slower, flatter, like someone was editing me in real time. I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize my own eyes. Dead focus, no panic, no hesitation. I tried to speak to myself, just to test. "I'm fine," I whispered, but my voice, it didn't sound like mine. It was deeper, like it came from somewhere below my chest, like it wasn't meant for comfort, but for delivery. I grabbed my phone to call someone, anyone, but my fingers didn't move. I just stood there, staring at the screen as my thumb hovered over the contacts list, then slowly moved to open the camera app instead. No thought, just impulse. I tapped record, and I started speaking. Not a message, not a plea, a script. My voice calm, my eyes locked on the lens, words pouring out of me like I was reading from inside my own skull. I said things I didn't understand, descriptions, instructions, warnings dressed as riddles. I watched myself talking and felt detached, like I was watching a broadcast from another version of me. Then I smiled. It wasn't forced. It felt natural. Too natural. When I stopped recording, I blinked, like waking up from anesthesia. Cold sweat, racing heart, dry mouth. I looked at the file. It was exactly 3 minutes and 14 seconds long. And in that moment, I understood something terrifying. The video didn't kill me. It rewrote me. I deleted the video. Or I tried to. I watched my thumb hover over the file, shaking, hesitating, and then nothing. My hand didn't move. It just floated there like I was waiting for permission or orders. I forced myself to shut the phone off, pulled the battery, left it on the counter like it was radioactive. But the feeling didn't leave. I could still feel the words inside me, not in my mind, in my mouth, coiled around my tongue like they were alive, like they were waiting to be spoken again. I didn't sleep. Every time I blinked, I saw my own face in that recording, calm, confident, delivering the message like it mattered more than my life. And the worst part, it felt good. There was something addictive about it, like my brain rewarded me for spreading it, like it was congratulating me for being obedient. I left the apartment at dawn. I needed air, movement, distance. I walked 3 blocks before I realized I'd been speaking, whispering, really, under my breath, repeating a phrase I couldn't remember learning, over and over. The eye sees what the mirror buries. I passed a woman walking her dog. She looked at me just for a second. Then she froze, stared. Her smile dropped. Her face went pale. She yanked the leash and turned around without a word. A man jogged past me. As we crossed paths, he slowed, looked back, and I saw it, that flicker in his eyes, like something familiar had passed through him. Like a word had been planted in his brain and was now taking root. That's when it hit me. It wasn't just sound, it was Mickey, my voice, my presence. Something inside me had become contagious. I was a carrier now, a node in the system, a walking, breathing trigger, and anyone who heard me, anyone who got too close, was at risk. I wasn't afraid for myself anymore. I was afraid of what I'd become. I was no longer a target. I was a weapon. And the more I spoke, the more I smiled, the more I moved, the deeper it rooted itself. I wasn't running from the algorithm anymore. I was the algorithm, a piece of its code walking freely, infecting the world one glance, one whisper at a time. And somewhere behind some dead screen, it was watching me spread. I thought I could fix it, or at least warn someone. If this thing was using me to spread, if I was the virus now, maybe the only way to stop it was to go public. Expose it. Get people to understand what's happening before it reached them. That was the lie I told myself. I set up a live stream, old YouTube account. No followers, no title, just a black screen and a countdown. 10 minutes. As it ticked down, I stared at my reflection in the monitor. My face looked wrong, not distorted, just practiced. Like it had said too many things it didn't mean for reasons I couldn't remember. At 0, I clicked Go Live. The chat started filling up faster than I expected. Random usernames. Some were bots, sure, but others were real people. Curious, laughing, typing fast. What's this? Late night ARG? You good, bro? I leaned into the camera and I started speaking. I told them everything about the search, the video, the second clip, the coordinates, the whisper. My voice cracked. I was trying to sound human again, real, like Jake Hallworth still existed. But something was off. I saw it in the chat. Anyone else getting a headache? Dude, why is this making me dizzy? There's a high-pitched tone under his voice. I paused, stared into the lens. Don't listen too closely, I said. Please, mute the audio. Just read the captions. You have to. The screen flickered. My image glitched. For a split second, the live stream froze. But the video didn't. It kept moving. Iwin kept moving, but I wasn't speaking anymore. Not me. The version on screen leaned in and whispered something too low for the mic to catch. The chat exploded. What the hell was that? My screen just blinked. His face changed. I feel sick, like actually sick. I reached for the stop button, but I couldn't move. Not frozen, just delayed. I watched my on-screen self tilt its head and smile. The chat slowed, then stopped. Users going silent, one by one. All I could see were usernames logging out. And then the final message. Too late, he's already inside. I shut the stream down, unplugged everything, sat in the dark, listening to my own breath and something else, a soft whisper, not in the room, but in me, repeating the same phrase again and again. They listened. The next morning I searched for myself, not out of vanity, out of desperation. I needed to know I was still real, still here, still someone. I opened the browser and typed, Jake Hallworth. Nothing. No LinkedIn, no articles, no mentions. Even the old high school yearbook scans were gone. I tried adding keywords, birthplace, graduation year, past jobs, old usernames. Still nothing. It was like I'd never been born. I opened social media next. Facebook? Logged out. My account no longer existed. Twitter? Gone. Even my backup handle, the one I hadn't touched in years, returned a 404 error. My Gmail account, deactivated. Phone contacts, names still there, but every number was listed as unknown. Photos, blank gray thumbnails. Files that couldn't open, metadata scrubbed. My laptop started glitching, not crashing, just forgetting. Folders vanished before my eyes. Desktop shortcuts flickered and disappeared. My username reset to guest. I ran to my wallet. Driver's license? Blank strip. My name? Missing. Only the photo remained. A photo I didn't remember taking. In it, I wasn't smiling. I wasn't even looking at the camera, just staring, off to the side, like someone else had been there. Someone just out of frame. I searched again, every search engine, every dark web mirror I could access, every DNS backdoor. Same result. I wasn't in the system. I was a ghost with skin. I called my father. Disconnected. I called Mira. Dead tone. No one remembered me. No one answered. It was like the entire world had closed a door I didn't even know was open. And then I noticed something worse. When I spoke my name out loud, it didn't sound right. It didn't fit in my mouth, like it belonged to someone else. Like it was a borrowed word I had no right to use anymore. I tried writing it down. The pen wouldn't move. My hands shook, not out of fear, but refusal, like something deep inside had already accepted it. I was gone, not dead, not missing, erased. And the terrifying part, it felt clean. Like the world had finally corrected a glitch. Like I was a corrupted line of code, deleted to keep the rest of the system running. The screen went black again. My reflection stared back. It didn't look surprised, just satisfied. Somewhere, in a different room, under different lights, someone else sits at their computer. They don't know me. They've never heard of Jake Hallworth, but they saw something strange. A thread reposted on a fringe forum, a screen grab from an old deleted livestream, a username they can't trace. No likes, no views, just a comment. Try Googling your full name at 1:11 a.m. Keep the camera on. They hesitate, laugh a little, type it into the search bar as a joke, then pause. Something pulls at them. Like the screen is watching them now, like the machine knows what they're about to do. Still, they press forward, just a name, nothing more. They type Jake Hallworth and check the time. 1:11 a.m. The screen doesn't blink, doesn't flicker. It just loads, slowly, like it's breathing. Then the results page changes. There's no list of links, no articles, no social media, just black, and then a video. No title, no description, no play button. It starts on its own. The camera pans through a dark hallway, soft light leaking from a door at the end. The sound of footsteps, not heavy, not fast, careful. The person leans in closer. They're already forgetting how they got here. Inside the room, there's a figure, sitting in a chair, face obscured in shadow. Then the light shifts, just slightly, and the face becomes clear. It's me, Jake, but older, worn down, eyes blacked with absence. And then I speak, not to them, to the camera, to you. I didn't search. I didn't click, but I still saw it. And now, so did you. The screen begins to distort, not glitch, melt. Letters slide off the page. The browser UI peels away like skin, and the final message fades in, glowing red in the center. You're next. The user's breath catches. They try to close the tab. Can't. The webcam light turns on. They didn't touch anything. The feed activates. Their face stares back at them, but it's not alone. Over their shoulder, just barely visible, a reflection smiles. Fade to black. The system resets. Waiting, listening, and somewhere, buried deep beneath the surface of the web, a new video begins rendering.